Shabbat Yom, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the West, to the four corners of the earth, scattered greetings. This Shabbat lesson, we're going to title it, Children of Lot, brothers and sisters. Right? Children of Lot. Right? So, the life of Abraham's nephew Lot and the record of Lot's descendants is a subject especially relevant today, according to Yahusha, as recorded in Lucas Gospel, world conditions at the close of our present age would come to resemble the days of Lot. Right? What Yahusha meant by that statement requires a little investigation and thought. Probably Yahusha had several levels of meaning in mind. The Bible has a lot to say about Abraham's nephew, and his place in the ancient world, but it is profitable study with broad implications for the day in which we live. First of all, was Lot a believer in Abraham's Eliyahu? It is not at all obvious from the reference in Bereshit Genesis that Lot believed in and knew the Eliyahu of Abraham. But the New Testament tells us that Lot was in fact a man made righteous by faith. The Apostle Kepha tells us. So we're going to look at that, brothers and sisters. Shinai, Kepha 2:4-10. That's 2 Peter 2:4-10 is all on your screen, right, brothers and sisters? Okay, brothers and sisters. For if Eliyahu spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. So the judgment is reserved is the second coming. Final hour, which we are in right now. The final hour. Last days. As in the day of Noe and as in the days of Lot. We're in that times right now. Right? And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For the righteous man dwelling among them is seeing and hearing vex his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Adonai knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of the uncleanness and despise government, presumptuous are they, self-willed, they are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. So these are things that's going on right now, brothers and sisters. Right? The ungodly is roaming the earth right now. The same thing was happening in the days of Lot. The same thing is happening right now. There's nothing new under the sun, brothers and sisters. And the trajectory human is going towards is ultimate clash with Yahuwah and his laws, which is going on right now, and ultimate the final judgment. Judgment is upon the earth in increments right now. But the full-blown judgment will come as a woman in travail, bringing forth a child close to giving birth. As it get closer to the Mashiach, you're going to see more and more intense judgment upon Edom, Esau, and their descendants. You see, both in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, you understand, and their descendants scattered to the four corners, brothers and sisters. They are mixed seed, they are spoiled seed, they infiltrate every race on earth. You see, brothers and sisters. Evil company ruins good morals, brothers and sisters, right? Lot was not only a believer in the truth and living Eliyahu, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, recalls that he was distressed daily by the decadent, crumbling moral conditions around him. Believers frequently study the life of Abraham, the man of faith, but pay little attention to the life of Lot. It's common for believers to want to see themselves better off than they really are, and of course, it is a good thing to identify with the heroes of faith rather than those who are less well spoken of, but it is clear that many believers today live lives similar to that of Lot. Lot was a heterosexual married man who sought to become a prominent citizen in Sodom. He was evidently not himself a sexually immoral person, yet he was not able to separate himself from the ungodly, decadent influences of the community he lived in. He wanted to raise a family and to prosper in the prevailing culture. The weakness of many believers in our day is similar. Worldly values and standards have come to govern and their thinking and conduct in many subtle way. Modern lots seems unable to grasp why their wives and families suffer so terribly from what was a basic compromise with the world at the start, right? And it's so true, brothers and sisters, right? So true today, right? Especially in our so-called black community, whereas I mean, our women, heavily our women support debauchery, whoredom, lasciviousness, promiscuity, the homosexual and lesbian agenda. They support these things. The same thing going on in the days of Lot. The same way how also the men too who follow behind these women and support these debauchery. They are weak, effeminate men. You understand? The most I say, show me your fruits. The fruits will be exposed, brothers and sisters. The deeds will expose. You see. And it's a sad day we live in, sad times we live in. You know what I mean? You shall know them by their fruits. That's what it is. You know what I mean? So your fruits are being exposed in form of your actions and your deeds. That's your fruit you produce. And many of you produce rotten fruits, infested fruits. You see, brothers and sisters. And just like in the days of Lot, fire and brimstone is coming, brothers and sisters. Tempest, wind, storm. You don't see the other day all these flooding and tempest wind? That's just a little of what the Most High have in store for the wicked and the rebellious in Israel and out of Israel. You see, brothers and sisters, right? So Abraham and Lot are good illustrations of the two classes of believers, spiritual and carnal. Paul contrasts the two classes in detail in 1 Corinthians, though Abraham must have exerted all godly influence he could upon Lot over the many years of their association. Lot finally chose the green pastures of the then lush southern Jordan Valley where Sodom was located. Hence the term, the grass is not always green on the other side. Lot chose the greener pastures, just like many of our people today. They like to choose the greener pastures instead of stick in the situation where they are in, so long as it's not detrimental to yourself and your person and the people around you. You understand, brothers and sisters? If let's use example we are familiar with the relationship. As long as the man is not abusing you or the woman is not abusing you, you know what I mean, or threatening your life or taking your life or whatever, brothers and sisters, why not work in the relationship? So long as you're not cheating on each other or disrespecting each other verbally and physically, why not work out your relationship instead of jump ship at every chance you get? You and your husband into argument, you want to leave, you want to divorce, instead of work it out. And then when you do jump ship and go on the other side, the so-called greener person, you realize that it's not even green. You know, the grass is dried up, it's burnt up, it's brown. You see, the same situation that we have today in this modern time, and it was in Lot's time also. Greener pastures. Huh? Huh, brothers and sisters? So let's go to Bereshit, Genesis 13, 5 to 13. That's Bereshit, right? Genesis 13, 5 to 30 is on the screen, right? And Lot also, which went with Avram, and flocks, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abraham cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzites dwelled then in the land. And Avram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plains of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before Yahuwah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahuwah, like the land of Mizraim, Egypt, as thou comest unto Zor. Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Avram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahuwah exceedingly, brothers and sisters, just like in this time right now. Our wicked leaders worldwide, passing laws, immoral and debased laws, promiscuity and promoting and celebrating abominable lifestyle, brothers and sisters. The same thing is going on right now, and the same trajectory is judgment. You see, brothers and sisters, total destruction off the face of the earth. 1/3 of the wicked, along with, and the sad thing about it too, brothers and sisters, our own people will be caught up in this. Rebellious vagabond Jews and Benjamite and Levites, they're gonna get caught up in this and be destroyed with Massa whom they so loved. They love Massa more than their lives. These Sambos, not Uncle Tom, Sambos. Uncle Tom was the one who fought against Sambo. You see, Sambo, brothers, there's many Sambos running around here today. You should do your research about that too. Those two characters, historic character that lived during slavery, Sambo and Uncle Tom. Right, so let's move on. So Abraham chose to remain on the path of faith, right? You can see that in Hebrews. Abraham 11:8-11, walking as a stranger and a pilgrim in this present world, with a tent and an altar as his emblem. Lot chose to seek fulfillment in the present world. Apparently, he was not willing to believe that bad company ruins good morals, evil company ruins good morals, right? First Corinthians, Version 15:33. The appeal of faith is always to invisible, permanent realities made known by Eliyahu, while the man who walks by the side depends upon emotion, temporal riches, influence, and the empty philosophies of the fallen, doomed civilization around him, right? When one sees the basic difference in walking by faith as opposed to sight, basing decision on earthly goals and circumstances which surrounds us, it is easy to say that few believers today are actually modeling their lives after Abraham. You see, brothers and sisters, thus in a series of moves after his initially unwise choice, Lot finally became a good citizen of Sodom, practicing in civic affairs, earning a living and raising a family. Oblivious to Eliyahu's firm intention to destroy the entire city and culture around him, he ended up sitting in the gate of Sodom, equivalent to being the town mayor. So he was an important guy in Sodom, brothers and sisters. He was like elected official. You see. Lot was not to be dislodged easily from Sodom after Abraham rescued him from northern marauding kings who raided Sodom and the surrounding cities. Lot elected to return to Sodom. At this time, he must again have had a choice to move to a better place and embark upon a life of faith and separation from the world. But while Lot readily reestablished his home in Sodom, Abraham refused him to accept any gift or payment for his military action so as to not be brought under any obligation to Sodom, and so as not to give the king of Sodom any cause to boast of his influence in the matter. Bereshit 14 describes the territorial squabbling among certain kings from the east, which eventually overflowed into the Canaanite territory of the Jordan Valley, resulting in subjugation of Sodom and Varons, placing Lot in jeopardy. As you take a look at the screen, you will see a map of the territory, brothers and sisters. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Babylon, Aroch, king of Eleazar, Shedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim. These kings made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Sheminber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zor. And all these joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and subdued the Raphim. The Raphim are giants in Ashtaroth, Karinaim, and Zozim in Ham. Right? So in Ham, land of Africa, that's Ham. Brothers and sisters? The Emim in Shever, Kerithaim, and the Horites in their Mount Seir. So Mount Seir again is located in Saudi Arabia and Jordan. Mount Seir is in Saudi Arabia. Esau's lot. Spoil seed. Brothers and sisters? And the Horites in their Mount Seir as far as El Paran on the border of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Misfat, that is Kadesh, and subdue all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, who dwelt in Hazan Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, the king of Bela, that is Zor, went out, and they joined battle in the valley of Siddim with Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Aroch, king of Eleazar. 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and as the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into them, and the rest fled to the mountain. So the enemy took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provision and went their way. They also took Lot, the son of Abraham's brother, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. Then one who had escaped came and told Abraham, the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and of Aner. These were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his kinsmen had been taken captive, he led forth his trained men born in his house, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he divided his forces against them by night, he and his servants, and routed them and pursued them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his kinsman Lot with his goods, and the woman and the people. Right? And the women and the people. After this return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the kings of Sodom The king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shever, that is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, the king of Salem, later Jerusalem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of Eliyahu Most High, and he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham by Eliyahu Most High, maker of heaven and earth, and blessed be Eliyahu Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. And the king of Sodom said to Abraham, Give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself. But Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have sworn to Yahuwah, Eliyahu Most High, maker of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread or a sandal thong or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abraham rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me. Let Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre take their share. You could read that in Bereshit 14, brothers and sisters. So the record of the actual destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding Canaanite cities is recorded in Bereshit 19. The account begins in chapter 18 at the camp of Abraham in the hills about the Dead Sea near Hebron. Eliyahu does not undertake the long-delayed judgment of these cities without consulting with his servant Abraham. Brothers and sisters? And Yahuwah a theophany Eliyahu in him form appeared to him, right? And Yahuwah theophany Eliyahu in human form appeared to him, Abraham, by the oaks of Mamre. So the word theophany means, brothers and sisters, the word theophany means visible manifestation of Eliyahu. So the invisible showed himself visible to Abraham. So it would be Yahuwah. So it will be Yahuwah manifest Eliyahu in human form. So Yahuwah manifests himself in human form, appeared to him, Abraham, by the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men, right? He saw Yahuwah plus 2 angels. He saw Adonai plus 2 angels. So he saw Yahusha. He saw the 2 angels, right? Stood in front of him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth and said, My Adonai, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree, while I fetch a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on. Since you have come to your servant, so they said, Do as you have said. And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarai, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to the servant, who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk, and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, Where is Sarai, your wife? And he said, She is in the tent. Adonai said, I will surely return to you in the spring, and Sarai, your wife, shall have a son. And Sarai was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarai were old, advanced in age. He had ceased to be with Sarai after the manner of woman. You see, so Sarai was up there in age, so she passed childbearing stage. She was real old. You understand, brothers and sisters? And Sarai was listening at the tent door behind him, and now Abraham and Sarai were old, advanced in age. He had ceased to be with Sarai after the manner of women. So Sarai laughed to herself, saying, After I have grown old, and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure? The Adonai said, Abraham, Why did Sarai laugh? And say, Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Adonai? And At the appointed time I will return to you in the spring, and Sarai shall have a son. But Sarai denied, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. He said, No, but you did laugh. Hence the name that hence the name given to their firstborn son was Isaac, mean laughter. How fitting, right? How fitting, right, brothers and sisters? Then the men set out from there, and they took toward Sodom. They looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to set them on their way. Yahuwah said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do, seeing that Abraham shall become a great and mighty nation? All the nations of the earth shall bless themselves by him. No, for I have chosen him that he may charge his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Adonai by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Adonai may bring to Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Adonai said, Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave, I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry which has come to me, and if not, I will know. So the men turned from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham still stood before the Adonai. Then Abraham drew near and said, Will thou indeed destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will thou then destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from thee to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Adonai said, If I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Abraham answered, Behold, I have taken upon myself to speak to the Adonai, I who am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Wilt thou destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. Again he spoke to him and said, Suppose 40 are found there. Right? So Abraham is testing the Most High. He's trying the Most High. Right? You're going to see the response. Then he said, Oh, let not the Adonai be angry. So they see, Abraham is perceiving that the Yahusha is getting very angry with him now, because he tested him. He keep asking questions back to back to back. You see, but you see, the Most High is patient with Abraham because that's his friend. You see, our friends will get away with this when you are friends with the Most High. He allow you, he give a latitude, he give a little latitude. You know what I mean? You know? Right? So the Most High, Abraham already perceived that Most High is getting angry. That's why he said, Oh, let not the Adonai be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I found 30 there. He said, Behold, I have taken upon myself to speak to the Adonai. Suppose 20 are found there. He answered, For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, Oh, let not the Adonai be angry. So he perceived it, because he see that the wrath of the Most High, Yahusha, is boiling. Because the Most High probably say, What's wrong with Abraham, man? Abraham. Have I not said I would not destroy if there was 50, or he counting down and down and down, right? So he said, I will speak again, but this once. Suppose 10 are found. Suppose 10 are found there. He answered, For the sake of 10 I will not destroy it. And the Adonai went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. The patient, the Most High Abraham, the same patient with Gideon too, the same similar story with Gideon. The Most High was patient with Gideon when he asked him, Okay, if it's you, Adonai, make the ground dry, but around the dew is wet. Or let the ground be dried, or let the earth be dried, and the leaves that is on the ground itself be wet. And the back and forth, be conversation with Gideon, you see, brothers and sisters, and the angel of Yahuwah, which is Yahusha, right? Right, brothers and sisters? And Gideon also too, that's where they get the movie 300 from Gideon with his 300 men who destroyed his enemy. You see, just want to put that out there. Right? So the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the earth and said, My Adonais, turn aside, I pray you, your servant's house, and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way. They said, No, we will spend the night in the street. But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and... So you see, brothers and sisters, you see, he baked unleavened bread. That's a custom of our people. You know what I mean? That's also a commemoration of when we came, when the Mosiah who shall deliver us out of Mizraim, Egypt. Before we was delivered out of Mizraim, Egypt, brothers and sisters, we were making bread, but didn't have time for the bread to rise. Therefore, hence unleavened bread. You know, bread without yeast, because yeast make the bread rise. And so you know the angels are of Israel, of Hebrew descent, identity, so-called black people. You know this thing by the interaction Lot had with the angel. He said, but he urged them strongly as they turned aside to him and entered his house, and he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread. That's the custom of the Israelites, Hebrews. Right, so you know the angels are Yashraelites or Hebrews. You see, brothers and sisters. And they ate, but before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all people to the last man surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may know them. So you see how filthy these people are. You know, they may know them. In the scriptures, the word known is talking about sexual relation in the context. You see, like for example, when the scripture say with Mariam and Joseph, he said after the Mashiach were born, after the Mashiach came to the earth through Mariam, she bore him. After that, Joseph knew her. That means after the virgin birth and the set apartness for that period of time, then Joseph know Maria, mean they have intercourse. But in this instance, these wicked men, because he said, Lot, where are the men? So who surrounded Lot? The men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young men and old. All the people to the last man surrounded the house, and they called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out that they may know them. I mean, they want to have sex with the angels. Filthy people. Debase. Lot went out of the door to the men, shut the door after him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have two daughters who have not known man. Says he again, who have not known man. So he's talking about relations, sex relations. But listen to the response of these wicked men. After Lot is giving their daughters to them, let me bring them out to you and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they said, stand back. And they said, this fellow came to sojourn, and he would play the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with him, than with them. Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and drew near to break the door. But the men put forth their hands and brought Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they struck their blindness the men who were at the door, of themselves groping for the door. Then the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here, son-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone who have in the city? Bring them out of the place, for we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people has come great before the Adonai, and the Adonai has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and said to his son-in-law who were to marry his daughters, Up, get out of this place, for the Adonai is about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his son-in-law to be jesting. When morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. But he lingered, so the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Adonai being merciful to him, and they brought him forth and set him outside the city. And when they had brought them forth, they said, Flee for your life, do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Flee to the hills, lest you be consumed. And Lot said to them, O no, my Adonai, behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life, but I cannot flee to the hills, lest disaster overtake me, and I die. Behold, yonder city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there, it is not a little one, and my life will be saved. He said to him, Behold, I grant you this favor also, that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Make haste, escape there, for I can do nothing till you arrive there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zor, Hebrew title. Hebrew mean little. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zor. You see that? Therefore the name of the city was called Zor, Hebrew, little. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zor. So see how the Most High have mercy. The Most High took Lot by the hand because Lot was hesitant. It's going to be the same way in this last days. Many of you believers are going to be hesitant to leave Babylon. The Most High will have to take you by the hand and tell you, leave. But for some of you, the mercy will not befall upon you in such manner. You will be destroyed and consumed with the wicked whom you so love. So you could read that in Genesis, Bereshit 19, 1-29. Right? It would appear that life in Sodom was very similar in that of the current ages we're living in today, see, brothers and sisters. Right, so it would appear that life in Sodom was very similar to that of the cities, say the cities right now in where we live at, United States, or wherever we are scattered. Right, Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, you see what I mean, Barbados, St. Kitts, wherever we are scattered, Solomon Islands, Puerto Rico. You see what I mean? It would appear, brothers and sisters, right, that the life in Sodom was very similar to the place where we're living right now in the cities. Right? Therefore, many believers live at least near to the equivalent of the gates of Sodom these days, though there was a semblance of family life present in Sodom so as to guarantee the continuation of these ancient cities beyond one generation. There was widespread homosexual activity, and not doubt equally as much heterosexual fornication, adultery, promiscuity, amidst wealth and prosperity abounded. Lot was evidently heterosexual, and if he himself committed adultery or was otherwise promiscuous, Scripture says nothing about this. Lot's lack of real witness and credibility in Sodom is evidenced by the fact that he and his wife and daughters had to be forcibly removed from the city by the 2 angels. His management of his household was one of spiritual compromise when he came to acting, or rather not acting, or on behalf of his wife and daughters. None of Lot's neighbors who could have also been willing to flee. Lot's daughters, on behalf of his wife and daughters, none of Lot's neighbors who could have also been saved had they been willing to seek refuge in Lot's house were behind as well, rather than finally finding safe refuge in the same kind of faith of Abraham demonstrated year after year. Lot chose another small city, Zor, to live in. Lot's wife, apparently not a believer, looked back and was encrusted with salt. Only Lot and his two daughters survived. One would have thought that a loving father and husband would have seen to the safety and welfare of his wife and daughters first before himself leaving Sodom, but Lot looked after only himself as all four of them fled from the fiery destruction. Abraham had hoped 10 righteous persons would be found in Sodom and the surrounding four cities. Evidently, in the final analysis, there was only one Lot. You see that? How sad that is, brothers and sisters. Though Abraham had interceded for these cities, as far as we know, only Lot was found to be righteous, because he was pronounced righteous by his faith. Lot will be found in heaven in the company of the redeemed, but with little to show for his life and his many missed opportunities. Lot cannot take credit for escape from Sodom. He was rescued in spite of himself because of Abraham's faith. You see that in Genesis 19:29. So prayer, brothers and sisters, is a very powerful tool we have as believers. Potent. You see, it's very potent. So there's a lesson we can learn from Lot. You see, even though you understand, and then you see right here in Lot, right? Lot was uneven yoke because his wife was not believer, but he was, and his children was rebellious also. Because the Most High know your heart. That's why the Most High is a judge of heart. You know what I mean? That's a King David said, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. It's a thought. Your thoughts start from your heart. And then you meditate with your mind, and then you bring forth your thoughts through your actions. You see, brothers and sisters, many of you believers today married to uneven yoke. A person who do not believe, who do not acknowledge the Most High and His sovereignty, and His judgment, and His love, and His mercy, and grace. You see what I mean? And in the final hour, the division is going to be made. You see what I mean? So it's always best to seek out a partner that is even a yoke with you, that you may grow in righteousness and your children may be saved under that banner of righteousness. You see, brothers and sisters. Right? So now Lot went up of Zoar. Now Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the hills with his two daughters, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar, so he dwelt in a cave with his two daughters. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come in to us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve offspring through our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she arose. On the next day the firstborn said to the younger, Behold, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also. Then you go in and he with him, that he may preserve offspring through our father. So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger rose and lay with him. And he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. Hence the children of the Moabites. Right? And this is where Ruth came in. Boaz chose a Moabite, right? Ruth. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ammi. He is the father of the Ammonites to this day, right? Genesis 19:30-38, right? So the Moabites, some descendants of the Moabites may live in Jordan today, in the biblical territory of Moab, which is located in southern Jordan, right? And you still got black people living there today, who are descendants of Lot. You see, right? So the Ammonites were nomadic people who lived in the region of modern-day Jordan, and their capital city was Reba, which is now Amman, Jordan. The Ammonites are described in the Bible as descendants of Ben-Hami, the son of Lot, and his younger daughter. You see, brothers and sisters. If you take a look at the screen, brothers and sisters, you will see an image of Afro-Jordanian Bedouin, right, back in circa 1918, before Jordan was officially became a country. Right, brothers and sisters, on the next image you see on your screen is Afro-Palestinian. Right, you see all these are black people, but you don't hear none of those people in the news or what's going on in Palestine right now, where those two European people are fighting each other over land that's not theirs and killing off the true Palestinian, the Afro-black black Palestinians, right, who are Hebrews, really. You see, brothers and sisters. And the same true for the Ammonites too. They're all Afro people, right? Southern Jordan, right, brothers and sisters? So where did Lot's daughters got their understanding of sexuality, brothers and sisters? Where did Lot's daughters got their understanding of sexuality? Evidently, they brought with them from Sodom the values of that culture rather than the morals of Abraham's family, where incest would have been unthinkable. There is no need to dwell on this tragic story ending in drunkenness and incest and the total degradation in Lot's masculine identity. Though Lot himself was saved, yet as through fire his sons grew up to disposes the Raphaim or Emim, a race of giants living in Jordan east of the Promised Land. Created in Deuteronomy, Davrim 2 and 10. Much subsequent human tragedy can be traced back to the children of Lot. They caused the people of Israel many troubles in their subsequent interrelationships, brothers and sisters. Two demonic invasions into the human race are recorded in scriptures, Bereshit 6 and 4. The second of these invasions entered into the line of Canaan, son of Ham, after the flood of Noe, resulting in the thoroughly degraded pagan idolatry of the Canaanite as well, producing certain genetic defects leading to a second group of giants who lived in and around the land granted by Eliyahu to Abraham the Shemite. Right? The descendants of Esau, known as Edomites, were another group of people dwelling in southern Jordan in strength. By the time of Moshe, a third group was the Amorites, and the ancient paganized group who were Shemites. The Canaanites were Hamites, living in the land of Bashan, which is the present-day Golan Heights region of Israel. By the time of Moshe, the Amorites had particularly disposed the Moabites living to the south of them. So you see all those description of the people, they are so-called black people. Ham, right? Canaan, all these people, brothers, say Edom, Esau, all black people. You see, brothers and sisters, right? Also to be found in the area were Midianites, who were descendants of Abraham by his wife Keturah. Eliyahu told Moshe to leave both the Ammonites and the Moabites alone, as well as the Midianites, on their journey up to the eastern side of Jordan prior to the crossing into the Promised Land near Jericho. The Ammonites added to the pagan Baal worship of the Canaanite service to the demon Molech or Malcolm. Malcolm. From the root MLKM, Shinai, Rishon, Kings 11 and 7. The Moabites served Chemosh, the service of These terrible demons involve human sacrifices. You can read that in Shinai Kings 3 and 27. The counterpart today of this kind of adultery is to be found in the widespread abortion in the Western world and the human and animal sacrifice practiced by satanic cults in America. Let me repeat again. The counterpart to what took place with the Ammonites and the pagan Baal worship and the Canaanite service in the demonic Molech, brothers and sisters, can be found today of this kind of adultery is to be found in the widespread abortion in the Western world and the human and animal sacrifice practiced by Satanist cults in America, Europe, and elsewhere. Of course, many modern parents have found socially acceptable ways to deliver their children into the hands of Molech, or through ignorance of Eliyahu have prevented their sons and daughters from knowing wholeness of life in the Mashiach. The Adonai tolerance and even endorsement of sexual immorality among young people by community and schools alike is but one example. The ancient languages of Ammon and Moab were similar to Hebrew, so it seems possible that these people might have preserved a tradition concerning Yahuwah which figures into the account of the meeting of Israelites with Balak, king of Moab, described in Numbers 21, Bimidbar 21 to 25. It is in this account that we met the false prophet Balaam, a man of such lasting evil influence that he is mentioned 3 times in the New Testament. 2 Peter 15 to 16. He is associated with false teaching in the church. I did a lesson on him, Balaam the false prophet. Do check that out, brothers and sisters. Accursed children, forsaking the right way, they have gone astray. They have followed the way of Balaam, the son of Beor, who loved gain from wrongdoing, but was rebuked for his own transgression. And a dumb donkey spoke with human voice and restrained the prophet's madness. Right? In Yehuda and Jude, verse 11, false teachers are described as walking in the way of Cain and abandoning themselves for the sake of gain to Balaam's error, and as perishing in Korah rebellion, the latter to the body of Thyatira. Revelation 2 and 4 contains a reference to members of that congregation who held to the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel that they might eat food sacrificed to idols and practice immorality. Balaam is a central figure in the line of apostasy, beginning with Babylonian mystery religion and ending with the last state of apostate. Believers will prevail on earth in the time of the Mashiach's second coming. This is why I tell you, free religion, brothers and sisters. Because many of them is practicing the doctrine of Molech and Balaam and Balak. Balaam teaching and prophecies appear eloquent and full of truth in the account given in Numbers, but what scriptures criticizes most about this man in life was his lifestyle. Brothers and sisters, his lifestyle or walk, which was said to be perverse. Before the Adonai, Balaam lived to the east of Ammon near the Euphrates and may have known Yahuwah in a personal way. However, he supplemented his prior life and divination with the result that he was largely self-deceived until Eliyahu finally opened his eyes. Balaam was a prophet available for hire. So he fell into the snare of the devil to serving Balak, though it is hard to find fault in what Balaam said publicly. Revelation 2 and 4 records that he privately gave Balak what the latter needed to ensnare the people of Israel. The end result was that Israel then came under the power of Baal Peor through Balak, which loss of 24,000 persons in a plague arising from sexual immorality with the daughters of Moab. So it is likely that this plague came in the form of a virulent venereal disease endemic among the Moabites because of their decadent, promiscuous lifestyle, and the same diseases is prevalent today in our society, brothers and sisters. We have sexual disease rampant in among so-called black people, among our women, and also among our men. You see. So it's very sad, brothers and sisters. It's very, very, very sad. Right? So while Israel dwelt in Shittim, the people began to play the harlot with the daughters of Moab. These invited the people of the sacrifice of their Elohim. And the people ate and bowed down to their Elohim. So Israel yoked himself to Baal of Peor, and the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against Israel. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, take all the chiefs of the people and hang them in the sun before the Adonai, that the fierce anger of Yahuwah may turn away from Israel. And Moses said to the judges of Israel, every one of you slay his men who have yoked themselves to Baal of Peor. And behold, one of the people of Israel came and brought a Midianite woman to his family, and in the sight of Moshe and in the sight of the whole congregation of the people of Israel, while they were weeping at the door of the tent of meeting. When Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose and left the congregation and took a spear in his hand and went after the man of Israel into the inner room and pierced both of them, the man of Israel and the woman, through her body. Thus the plague was stayed from the people of Israel. Nevertheless, those that died by the plague were 24,000. You see that tell you about people, man. You know, it's better to obey a sacrifice because you want to, you feed the lust and the wickedness thereof of the flesh. You're willing to sacrifice 24,000 of your kings, man. And the same thing is going to happen today in this generation, brothers and sisters. Many people come before you, tell you, repent, turn from your wicked ways. The judge is coming. And many of you are going to ignore that warning. And because of that, thousand upon thousand of you shall be destroyed with your oppressors. You see. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, has turned back my wrath from the people of Israel, in that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I did not consume the people of Israel in my jealousy. Therefore say, behold, I give to him my covenant of peace, and it shall be to him and his descendants after him the covenant of a perpetual priesthood, because he was jealous for his Eliyahu and made atonement for the people of Israel. This is what we're going on right now. The Most High rising up, some of us to drive the spiritual spear in this time, in hopes that the Most High may be stayed from stiffneck Israel. Nevertheless, the vagabond Jews among us will be destroyed also, brothers and sisters, because this is the will of the Most High. The name of the slain man of Israel, who was slain with the Midianite woman, was Zimri, the son of Salu, head of a father's house belonging to the Shemonites. And the name of the Midianite woman who was slain was Cosbi, the daughter of Zor, who was the head of the people of a father's house in Midian. You read that in Numbers, Bimidbar 25 and 1 to 15, right? So the New Testament admonition to believers found in 1 Corinthians 10 and 7 is based on this tragic incident in the national life of Israel. Do not be idolaters, as some of them were, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to dance. We must not indulge in immorality, as some of them did, and 23,000 fell in a single day. One does not have to look far today for the teaching of Balaam in the professing Christian churches today, which has resulted in the widespread toleration of rape, child abuse, molestation, homosexuality, abortion, on demand, adultery, unrestrained premature sexual activity. This terrible scourge of AIDS in our day reflects one aspect of our fallen world's heritage from the children of Lot. False teachers often speaks in truth but live in a lie, which makes them harder to detect and all the more dangerous. It is interesting that the name Balak means advestator, or one who lays waste. Balaam means devourer, and his father was Beor, which means destroyer. So be careful the name that you give your children too. Because the name that you give your children you take on has demonic forces behind it. You see. Part of Balaam's prophecy concerned the coming of Israel, Messiah, and the accompanying judgment of Moab is found in Bimbar, Numbers 24 and 17. I see him, but now I behold him, but not nigh. A star shall come forth out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. He shall crush the forehead of Moab, brothers and sisters. In the time, this prophecy reflects a promise given by the Adonai in the Garden of Eden that the Messiah, the seed of the woman, would bruise the head of the serpent. Balak was a direct conduit for evil in his day, and the instrument of the serpent seeking to destroy the people of Eliyahu and to stop the birth of the Messiah. The fact that Balaam, a professing man of Eliyahu, fell into Balak's power and was in fact an instrument of evil after speaking truth is where his judgment lies. The fact that he spoke the truth at all was a result of Eliyahu's overriding his original intention and Balak's bribes. Balaam's violent end is recorded in Numbers 31 and 8. Also Joshua 24 and 9. In the time of the judges following the death of Joshua, the people of Israel now dwelling in the land came under a number of oppressions sent by Eliyahu. The oppression of Moab under King Eglon in league with the Ammonites lasted 18 years until the people of Israel cried out to Eliyahu, at which time the Adonai delivered them by the brave and courageous action of a man named Ehud. Judges 3:12-30. The result was that the land had rest for 80 years in the time of Japheth or Yapha. The people were also found to be following not only the Baals, but also Molech and Shemosh. Judges 10 and 6. This resulted in a war with the Ammonites as a consequence. Judges 11, which Yapha fought successfully for Israel. A little later in history, the remarkable story which comprises the book of Ruth occurred during a famine. Elimelech and his wife Naomi of Bethlehem moved to Moab with their son Mahlon and Chilion. There the boys married Moabite women Orpah and Ruth. After about 10 years, the three male had all died, leaving Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth. Orpah elected to remain in Moab, but Naomi and Ruth came back to the people of Israel, where Ruth became the wife of Boaz, a direct ancestry of Yahusha, the Messiah, the Mashiach. Thus, the tragic usual immorality of the children of Lot was interrupted by the wonderful grace of Eliyahu, resulting in the redemption of Ruth the Moabitess. Here we can see an example of how Eliyahu has graciously made provision for outsiders, Gentiles, to be grafted into the true olive tree of belief in Israel. No matter one's background or previous idolatry, the Holy One of Israel is able to make sinners into new persons and to give high honor to those who were once outside the household of faith, if they will be embraced Yisrael's true Mashiach and take Abraham's. You see the key. The key, brothers and sisters, is what? Those who were once outside the house of faith, if they will but embrace Yasharel's true Messiah. What's Yasharel's true Messiah? The Black Mashiach. What is Yasharel true Messiah, brothers and sisters? The Black Mashiach, and take Avram's Eliyahu as theirs. Eliyahu. During the reign of Saul, Yasharel, first king, Nahash, the Ammonite, attacked and intimidated Israel. However, Saul hastily mobilized an army and bravely cut down the Ammonites, though outnumbered 10-1. 1 Samuel 11. David the Negus' terrible double sin of adultery and murder occurred during a war against the Ammonites, 2 Samuel 10-11. At the very time David the Negus should have been on the front line fighting the adulterous enemies of Israel, he was defeated at home by the very same spiritual power that the children of Ammon served. Solomon's compromise with our various pagan Eliyahu, including Shemot and Molech, is recorded in 1 Kings 11. Through this carelessness of their king, the terrible root evils of the children of Lot were introduced into the national life of Israel. The spread of evil into Judah through Solomon's son Rehoboam may be attributed to the latter's mother, Naamah, the Ammonitess. 1 Kings 14:21-24. Note, another parallel stream of evil entering Israel sprang from Jezebel and the ancient Phoenician Baal worship system. At the death of Ahab, Moab rebelled against the northern tribe under Ahab, son of Jehoram, to whom they had been forced to pay tribute, in league with Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, who teamed up with the king of Edom and aided by the prophet Elisha. Israel defeated Moab, 2 Kings 3, but only by the grace of Eliyahu. You can see that in Chronicles 20. The sad end of King Joash of Judah is recorded in 2 Chronicles 24. The record concludes with a few details, such as those who conspire against him were Zabad, the son of Shineath, the Ammonite, Jehoshaphat, the son of Shemrith, the Moabites. These men were servants in his own household. It was the Ammonite who were responsible for the murder of the appointed governor of Israel, Gedaliah, 2 Kings 25:22-26, and Jeremiah 40:14. Following the Babylonian captivity, the rebuilding of Jerusalem was greatly hindered by a determined Ammonite, Tobiah, Nehemiah 2:10, 19:4-3, 13:1-9, brothers and sisters, right? In the league with the Sanballat, Moabite. Tobiah's entrenchment in a temple chamber illustrates the clever, treacherous nature of our fleshly enemies who hid themselves in the temple of Eliyahu, that is, our bodies, where they are often only discovered and dislodged with difficulties. Amos 2:1-20 and Zephaniah 2:8-9 addresses the judgments of Eliyahu on Moab and Ammon. Isaiah 15:16 is devoted to a description of Eliyahu's judgment of Moab. Jeremiah deals at length with Moab, Jeremiah 48, and Ammon, Jeremiah 49. See also Jeremiah 9:26-25-21. Ezekiel addresses the end of the historic nations of Ammon and Edom in Ezekiel 21:28-32. 25 and 1-11. Though Eliyahu many times used nations more evil and corrupt than Israel to chasten Israel, it is always true that once the desired purpose of the Adonai has been accomplished, the ungodly nation employed thus were themselves brought into judgment. As historic people of the blood descendant of Lot have largely disappeared from history, though their influence have not. Right? Deuteronomy 23:3-6 contains this warning to Israel, the Ammonites, no Ammonite or Moabite shall enter the assembly of the Adonai, even to the 10th generation. None belonging to them shall enter the assembly of Yahuwah forever, because they did not meet you with bread and water on the way when you came forth out of Mizraim, Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Balpeor from Pharaoh, from Petro in Mesopotamia, to curse you. Nevertheless, your Adonai, your Eliyahu, would not hearken to Balaam, but Yahuwah, your Eliyahu, turned the curse into a blessing for you, because Yahuwah, your Eliyahu, love you. You shall not seek their peace or their prosperity all your days forever. So that's a commandment to you, Sitting Israel. Like I said again, when you get a chance, the opportunity, go back on my archives and read and watch the video, Balaam the false prophet. Right? One would think that Sodom and Gomorrah were the lowest of low and scum of all mankind, but in Ezekiel chapter 16, Eliyahu described the spiritual harlotry of Jerusalem at the time of the Babylonian captivity as worse than that of her sister Sodom. Paradoxically, the passage closes with a promise for the final restoration of Jerusalem and her less lewd sisters, as well as the end of the age we live in. So you see how you see even the sins of Jerusalem was worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. Just go tell you. That should tell you the wickedness of Jerusalem, the wickedness of the people, brothers and sisters. Nevertheless, the Most High will not leave us nor forsake us, because He's a commandment, He's a covenant keeper, a keeper of His promise. He also follows His commandment too, because He rests on the Shabbat. You see, brothers, as an example to you, to show you to keep His commandments. You see, brothers and sisters. Again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, Son of man, make known to Jerusalem her abominations, and say, Thus say Yahuwah Eliyahu to Jerusalem, your origin and your birth are of the land of the Canaanites. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother a Hittite. And as for your birth, on the day you were born, your navel's string was not cut, nor were you washed with water to cleanse you, nor rubbed with salt, nor swaddled with hands. No, I pitied you to do any of these things to you out of compassion for you, but you were cast out of the open field. For you were abhorred on the day that you were born, and when I passed by you and saw you weltering in your blood, I said to you, in your blood live, and grow up like a plant of the field. And you grew up and became tall and arrived at full maidenhood. Your breasts were formed and your hair had grown, yet you were naked and bare. When I passed by you again and looked upon you, behold, you were at the age for love, and I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. Yea, I plight by troth to you and enter into a covenant with you, says Yahuwah Eliyahu, and become mine. That I bathe you with water and wash off your blood from you and anointed you with oil. I clothed you also with embroidered clothes and shod you with leather. I swaddled you in fine linen and covered you with silk. I decked you with ornaments and put bracelets on your arms and a chain on your neck. And I put a ring on your nose and earrings in your ears and a beautiful crown upon your head. Thus you were decked with gold and silver, and your remnant was of fine linen and silk and embroidered clothes. You ate fine flour and honey and oil. You grew exceedingly beautiful and came to regal estate. And your renown went forth among the nations because of your beauty, for it was perfect through the splendor which I had bestowed upon you, said Yahuwah Eliyahu. But you trusted in your beauty and played the harlot because of your renown and lavish your harlotry as any passerby. You took some of your garments and made for yourself galley decked shrines, and on them played the harlot. The like has never been nor ever shall be. You also took your fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I have given you, and made for yourself images of men, and with them played the harlot. And you took your embroidered garment to cover them, and set my oil and my incense before them. Also my bread which I gave you, I fed you with fine flour and oil and honey. You set them for a pleasing odor, says Yahweh. And you took your sons and your daughters whom you had borne to me, and these you sacrificed to them to be devoured, where your harlotry so small a matter that you slaughtered my children and delivered them up as an orphan by fire to them. And in all your abomination and your harlotry, you did not remember the days of your youth, when you were naked and bare weltering in your blood. And after all your wickedness, woe to you, say Yahweh, who you built yourself a vaulted chamber and made yourself a lofty place in every square. At the head of every street you built your lofty place, and by and multiplying your harlotry, you also played the harlot with the Egyptians, your lustful neighbors, multiplying your harlotry to provoke me to anger. Behold, therefore I stretch out my hand against you, and diminish your allotted portion, and deliver you to the greed of your enemies, the daughters of the Philistines, who were ashamed of your lewd behavior. You played the harlot also with the Assyrians, because you were unstable. Yea, you played the harlot with them, and still you were not satisfied. You multiplied your harlotry also with the trading land of Chaldea, and even with this you were not satisfied. How lovesick is your heart, says Yahweh, seeing you did all these things, the deeds of a brazen harlot, building your vaulted chamber at the head of every street, and making your lofty place in every square. Yet you were not like a harlot, because you were scorned higher. Adulterous wife who receives strangers instead of her husband. Men give gifts to all harlots, but you gave your gifts to all your lovers. Bribing them to come to you from every side for your harlotry. So you were different from other women in your harlotry. None solicited you to play the harlot, and you gave hire. You gave hire while no hire was given to you. Therefore you were different. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the words of Yahuwah. Thus says Yahweh, because your shame was laid bare, and your nakedness uncovered in your harlotry with your lovers, and because of all your idols, and because of the blood of your children that you gave to them. Therefore, behold, I will gather all your lovers with whom you took pleasure, and those who loved, and all those who loathed. I will gather them against you from every side. I will uncover your nakedness to them, that they may see all your nakedness. And I will judge you as a woman who break wedlock and shed blood are judged, and bring upon you the blood of wrath and jealousy. And I will give you the blood of wrath and jealousy, and I will give you into the hand of your lovers, and they shall throw down your vaulted chambers and break down your lofty places. They shall strip you of your own clothes, and take your fair jewels, and leave you naked and bare. They shall bring up a host against you, and they shall stone you and cut you into pieces with their swords, and they shall burn your houses, execute judgment upon you in the sight of many women. And I will make you stop playing the harlot, and I will make you stop playing the harlot, and I will make you stop playing the harlot, and you shall also give hire no more. So will I satisfy my will be calm, and will no more be angry, because you have not remembered the days of your youth, but have enraged me with all these things. Therefore, behold, I will requite your deed upon your head, says Yahuwah. Eliyahu, have you not committed lewdness in addition to all your abominations? Huh? Huh, Israel? Behold, everyone who uses proverbs will use this proverb about you, like mother, like daughter, like mother, like daughter, like mother, like daughter. You are the daughter of your mother, who loathed her husband, and her children, who you are the sister of your sisters, who loathed their husbands and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite, and your elder sister a Samaria, who lived with her daughters to the north of you, and your younger sister who lived to the south of you is Sodom with her daughters. Yet you were not content to walk in their ways, or do according to their abomination. Within a very little time you were more corrupt than they in all your ways, as I live, said Yahuwah. Your sister Sodom and your daughters have not done as you and your daughters have done. Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, surfeit of food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. They were haughty and did abominable things before me. Therefore I removed them when I saw it. Samaria has not committed half your sins, and have committed more abomination than they. And they made your sisters appear righteous by all abominations which you have committed. Bear your disgrace. You also, for you have made judgment favorable to your sisters, and because of your sins, in which you acted more abominable than they are more in your disgrace, for you have made your sisters appear righteous. I remember their fortune, both the fortunes of Sodom and her daughter, and the fortune of Samaria and her daughters, and I will restore your own fortune in the midst of them, that you may bear your disgrace and be shamed of all that you have done, becoming a consolation to them. As for your sister Sodom and her daughters shall return to their former state, and Samaria and her daughters shall return to their former estate, and you and your daughters shall return to your former estate. Was not your sister Sodom a byword in your mouth in the day of your pride? Before your wickedness was uncovered, now you have become like her, an object of reproach for the daughters of Edom and all her neighbors, and for the daughters of the Philistines. Those round about who despise you, you bear the penalty of your lewdness and your abomination, saith Yahuwah. Yea, thus saith Yahuwah Eliyahu, I will deal with you as you have done. You have despised the oath in breaking the covenant, yet I will remember my covenant with you in the days of your youth, and I will establish with you an everlasting covenant. Then you will remember your ways and be ashamed when I take your sisters, both your elders and your younger, and give them to you as daughters, but not on account of the covenant with you. I will establish my covenant with you, and shall know that I am Yahuwah, that you may remember and be confounded, and never open your mouth again because of your shame, when I forgive you all that you have done, said Yahuwah Eliyahu. That's in Ezekiel 16. Then the children of Lot are associated in ancient times and in modern with incest, abortion, bestiality, and all kinds of sexual perversion, as with all deep-rooted idolatries, senseless violence, brutality, murder are also to be found among them. It is through the line of lost children that Sodom and Gomorrah have been recreated in our century. not this time as isolated cities in a small area at the southern end of Jordan River Valley of Israel. Decadent, thoroughly pagan moral values that characterize these ancient Canaanite cities are now widespread and universal in all the great cities of the world as our age draw to a close. So it was that Yahusha warned his followers by saying this. Lucas 17:28-14, right, is on the screen. Okay, brothers and sisters, Lucas 17:28-33. This is the warning that Yahusha sent out, right? Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the days when the Son of Man is revealed. In that day he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not turn back. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose it shall preserve it, brothers and sisters. So what that means, right? What that means, the one that saves his life shall lose it, or the one that loses shall save it. So this is what it means, brothers and sisters. Those who completely surrender their lives to the Mashiach, giving himself fully control and faithfully will die to themselves and live unto the Mashiach, brothers and sisters. Right? So I haven't done a long one. This is a really long one, brothers and sisters. I haven't done a long one now. Why? And I hope you understand the lesson of Lot. Right? This lesson of Lot, brothers and sisters, is very, 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 very important in this last days. Right? The children of Lot. You can learn a lot from the children of Lot. Right? It mirrors today's modern time. Right, brothers and sisters. So on that note, Brook Yahuwah is ever hope, Brook Yahushua Mashiach, Shina, Vishina, bless the love and shalom.